Auntie Said So, the podcast that's not really a podcast.
The only place where business gets real, laughs come standard, and life lessons are served with a side of sass. She's got 30 years of global real estate hustle, over 3,500 transactions closed, and a passport so packed it's begging for a break. But don't let the $1 million deals fool you. She's your international auntie, the no-nonsense mentor you didn't know you needed. Whether it's business, real estate, or life advice, when Auntie speaks, you listen. With key phrases like, but did you die? Rent is due. And level up, buttercup. You know she's here to keep it real. So get comfy. Whether you're in your office, on the road, or chilling with a cup of tea, and let Auntie Tameka Bryant guide you through stories, lessons, and the inside scoop on niche businesses you need to know about. Because this isn't just a podcast, it's a vibe, a movement, a safe place to learn, laugh, and level up. Now, let's get into it, because Auntie said so. Here's your host, Dr. Tameka Bryant.
Hey, it is Tameka Bryant. I always tell people what they don't know about me, they soon will find out. And one of those things, guys, is that I have all of this experience, all of this information in this head. And so I decided after a couple of years of giving back, serving on all these boards, doing all of this stuff that I have pretty much done over the past 30 plus years, is to bring it forward. And what I mean by bringing it forward is that I talked to myself and I just said, hey, I need to be unapologetic about what goes on in this business world, what's happening. And then more importantly, I need to help some of my nieces and nephews get through some of these business storms that are out there and pretty much set up in order for them to fail. And so many of you know, and some of you may not know, but over this last 30 years of me investing and being in real estate and owning my own companies and all these other great things, I have had a radio show, I have had a television show, I've had 2 podcasts, one very large podcast with another cohort of mine, and guys, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. I was closing a lot of real estate, and I have to pat myself on the back. I did the damn thing, and I came into a market where I didn't know anyone. So imagine growing up. Like for me, I grew up in New York. I grew up in the Bronx. And because of some skill sets and talents and education that this little nerd kind of got together and started learning some things, and it had a lot to do with my background, I learned all of these things and put them into action when I was forced to start my own real estate company. And so what some people may not know is that I was 20 in my early 20s when one of the largest youth serving organizations in the country came and got me and transferred me to the corporate office of the organization. And then they recruited me because I was a badass. They recruited me to Kansas City. And once I got to Kansas City, I worked in that organization for about 2.5 years before the president of that organization decided they were going to wrongfully terminate me and my husband and for retaliation. And so it took everything in me, guys, to leave that 9-to-5 atmosphere of an organization that I built and put so much into for my career to then figure out what was going to be my next move. And so I will tell you that this last year made 20 years of me owning my own company from that traumatic experience. And so 20 years in is when I sat down and I said, you know what? I've heard people like Oprah and Gail and all these other people saying, I don't want to be called an auntie because it sounds old. It sounds this, it sounds that. Well, let me tell you something, guys. Through my entire career, and growing up, I've met people that should have been called aunties, and it shouldn't have a stigma on it. Where is it a negative thing? Being called an auntie is out of respect. And that's coming from me. Growing up, I had two aunties. I had a rich auntie, and I mean, when I say rich, I mean, think about it. Very wealthy. She had no children. She owned her own business, cash business. And so that's what I mean, a wealthy auntie. So cash, money, kind of wealthy where she could get up and go and be anywhere without any baggage. Her and her husband did not have any children, and they just spent their money on themselves, and left, a legacy, and left $1 million behind after their passing and things like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say I had a rich auntie. And then I had another rich auntie who didn't necessarily have cash, but she did have experience, and she had street knowledge, and she had tenacity, and she had, look, we could figure out anything in the world as long as you had some street smarts, kind of an auntie. Okay. So what I realized is that I'm a combination of these aunties and second moms who were in my community who poured into me so that I could be sitting here doing what I'm doing today. And so today is the day that I decided I'm going to launch my new show called Auntie Said So. And it came about, and it's really Auntie Said So. The podcast is not really a podcast because I am going to put it on some podcast platforms, but I'm also going to put it on YouTube and places and other things, because the goal of this podcast is to educate and inspire lots of my following and people who may just come across me. But it is all about me sitting down with people I consider, and not that I consider them a niece or a nephew, but my plan is to roll up on my nieces and nephews, for lack of a better term. And I'm looking at small businesses and people and entrepreneurs who are out there doing the damn thing, but they may or may not have people in their corner. They don't have the rich auntie, the one who's experienced in the streets and knows how to, get through life. And, at this point in life, guys, understand that I'm 30 plus years and a real estate investor in this game. I'm currently developing international hotels, and I'm a fund manager, and all of these things that, I am today. Where I was before, I was a single mom. Okay. I've been, I'm married now, but I wasn't married then, right? So how did I get from, the South Bronx that was riddled with crack and cocaine and all of these kind of things and gangs and violence, to be able to sit here in front of you guys and on air and wherever you're listening to me, and get to a point where it was like, oh, okay, I am mom. My children are grown now on their own, making their monies. I'll talk to you guys about them on another episode, but my children are grown. They're out the house. I'm an empty nester now. I am a sister. I am an auntie. I am, I've been through some stuff. And so I want to make sure that I'm sharing my stories and my information, and also highlighting and helping other people who are going to go through some of these things. One of the hardest things, guys, going through pulling yourself up, and people will say, oh, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But some of us weren't given bootstraps. Okay, guys, I left my house at the age of 18 and moved into my own apartment because I was dealing with parents who were fighting through addiction, and I had fought that fight with them since I was 2 years old. So when I say I've been on my own since 18 and I had to figure this stuff out and all of these other things, it's made me who I am. So that termination from that 9 to 5 job, that was a blessing, but I didn't see it then. I didn't see on that day that I was terminated at 9 a.m. and my husband was terminated at 10 a.m. that was going to be the one place that started and pushed this real estate business to the next level. Because in 2 years, guys, I was able to triple the income that I was making from that job. But I didn't see it then. I saw, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? But I kept a hold of my faith. And then I just started putting the things in place that I had learned from previous experiences. And I made sure I continued to learn. And so I can sit here and say to you today that I was the first African-American MLS president for, these realtor associations. I have closed more real estate transactions than people will close in their lifetime. I'm over 3,500 closed real estate transactions internationally on my own as an independent brokerage. Okay. So just that alone, I got stories for days of how to get there. Now I will tell you, and I will tell people here, I am no longer, I'm not in a space in life now where I need anyone to validate anything I'm doing. I can say what I want to say. That's part of being at that rich auntie status. I'm going to say what I want to say. And whoever doesn't like it, it's too bad. I'm not governed by any association. I don't have any association affiliations where I can't say what I have to say. Newsflash, that gag order that I was under, I'm no longer under. So those things I can tell you about the real estate industry and how it's set up for 90% of real estate professionals, they know 90% of you guys are not going to make it. It's part of the design. However, they need the 90% of you to keep paying dues so that these organizations can stay in business. If you got 1.5 million people over here, and then you got another 1 million real estate professionals over here, you've got quite a lot of people paying dues into a system that doesn't give one damn about them. And so I'm that auntie a lot of you guys didn't know you needed. And one thing I want to keep in front of you guys is that with everything happening right now in the world, you've got all these social media platforms who have at one point, oh, we're going to protect this, we're going to protect that, we're not going to allow, lying and cursing and stuff. It is a free for all because of where we are in this period of time. You guys are now with a president that I lived through him being in New York. So I recognize how he operates and how the rich and the very wealthy will operate as well. And so you guys got to get in line to operate and also maneuver through these transitions. And so social media, of how it was set up when I first got involved in it, it is not the same social media. So understand that the information that I'll be bringing to you, some of it will be on some of these portals, and a lot of the content is going to be in protected areas, because I will not, like I said, I will not curb my tongue. I will not be put in a place where it says, well, your content or your profile has been deleted. My accounts have been deleted, hacked, all kinds of things. So I can't even get to certain content information to share certain things. So we're no longer doing that. Okay. And a lot of this is by design. Okay, guys, just understand that, because the more people, the wealthier the wealthy get, and the separation of the classes has already started. So the poor are going to stay poor. And what they've done is made sure that they've given you enough TV nonsense, phones in your hands for you to at least be on them 2.5 hours playing games, just looking at crap. And if you talk, when you're talking about 50% of the US population has already set in their head, it's nothing I can do. I know I'm not going anywhere. So I'll just get over here and, fool around. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the other 50% of the people who are saying, I'm locked in. I've got to build wealth for me and my kids. I've got to build this business for me and my kids, or for whatever legacy it is you're doing. I'm that auntie. I am not the auntie who's going to sit around and tell you we watching the housewives that are renting their houses. I'm the auntie who's going to say, hey, let me help you get the house so that those people on that network can rent that house from you. You hear me? Because I made my first million out of the Bronx, and understanding I did it in real estate. Many people are not going to be able to do it in real estate because, guys, the game has already been set. They've made it so that there is not enough affordable housing for just a family. So if there's not enough affordable housing for a typical family, there's not going to be enough affordable properties for new investors like when I started. So you got to be more creative. You have to be, understanding of different dynamics and things like that. And for the last few years, guys, at least 5 years, I've been saying this information because I was an instructor for 20 years, teaching people what to do and teaching real estate professionals of what they should do, how they should set up their business, because there wasn't going to be enough affordable housing. And therein lies where this auntie said so came from, because a lot of people now are coming back and saying, you did say that. You said that 20 years ago. You told us that we should be doing this 10 years ago. You said to do this 30 years ago. Guys, I've been teaching and explaining and telling people and coaching and training for 30 plus years, telling people this is the direction that we're going and this is what you should do. Now, some listened, some didn't, some were like, oh, no. And so I'm not in a space now to complain about it. I'm not in a space to whine about it. I'm good. My legacy is good. My people are good. What I'm here to do now is to reach more of those people who do want to hear and know what in the world is going on. And I want to be that auntie to those entrepreneurs who are running into, the naysayers. They're running into people who don't want their lights to shine. There are a lot of people who are going to try to block you from being successful because they're intimidated by you. They want you to do good, but not better than them. You've heard that saying before, right? And it's true. And I'm talking to you guys, and I want you to look over and, at your next time you're with a family member, because some of those people, and that's why it hurts so much, are people in your camp. It is your friends. It is your family. It is a bunch of people who are sitting beside you and really want you to fail. And so you've got to, when that happens, you feel like you're alone out here. And I'm talking to you. And that's why if this resonates with you, then understand that I am that auntie that you didn't know you needed to have in your life. I'm not that auntie that's going to say, okay, well, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm going to say, no, level up, buttercup. This is what this is about. You can't build and move forward. You're going to have to learn how to do this business and work your business while you're afraid. You're going to have to know how to push through and persevere while you feel like nobody is there, because the higher you go up, guys, and if you're really commanding your space and dominating your space and you're niched in your space, the more the crabs are going to come after you, the more the haters are going to be there, the more the blockers are going to be there. And that's on them. But understand, there's no executive, there's no investor mogul, there's no one that I know who's created wealth for them, their families, or any of those things, who haven't lost. You cannot make millions and millions and be a multimillionaire without some L's, guys. You cannot spell millions without L's. So please get comfortable in understanding you're going to have some losses. You're going to have some relationship losses. You're going to have some money losses. You're going to have, you're going to lose some sleep because being uncomfortable is part of the growth process. Do you guys hear me? Nothing grows when it's comfortable. You cannot produce a new life and be comfortable. It's going to move you. It's going to stretch you, right? So you have to get comfortable. Now, what most people don't have is they don't have a safe place where they can come and vent and realize, oh, I can't even share this information because the minute I share with someone, I'm in fear that they're going to take this information from me or that they are going to use it against me. That's why you need that auntie. That's why you need the auntie doc, as some of the people call me, because I don't have anything that I am taking with me. Okay. And so you guys are going to constantly run into organizations and conferences and people who are, blocking information from you. Okay. They don't want to share the information because, whatever their reason is. A lot of them don't want to share it in fear of you'll get it and go and do better than them. Okay. So we're not gatekeeping information around here. I'm going to tell you straight up how it is, what it is. Whatever I'm talking about is what we're talking about. If you want information from me or something, there may be a class you have to pay for. If you want to pay for a coaching session or whatever, that's what it is. Okay. I didn't spend my money going to every college, every university, learning about marketing, business, et cetera, to then give everything away for free. And that's where the gatekeeping for a lot of people come from. Instead of them just saying, hey, here's my costs for this information. And then business owner, you should also have those costs in your budget. You can go to college and learn all that stuff for free. You got to pay for the information that you want. Not everything that you need at the time you need it will you be able to find it on YouTube. Please understand. You'll find a lot of information, but you won't find the information all the time that's directly, specifically for you, because you and your business is so different than anyone else's. Remember, you have to blueprint you. And that's the difference. So many people try to find a coach or a training or something that somebody else created for a group of people. There are coaches and trainers and people who run real estate schools who don't even understand the dynamics or how to put together a course for all the learning styles for the people who are listening to their classes, because they themselves never took time to go to college, to go to school, or wherever they needed to go to learn about how adults learn. And see, that's what makes me different. I'm going to tell it like it is. So that's why I'm never in fear of anyone or anything, because what I do, no one does it like the way that I do. Now, am I saying I'm the best instructor in the world? No. I hold my own, though. I know how to write curricula for different adult learning styles. Can other instructors say that? No, because what they'll say is somebody told them that they could start a real estate school and they got an LLC and got a Zoom and start just telling real estate agents, this, that, or the third, and the real estate agents paid for it. Because why? They didn't know any better themselves, because they weren't taught that half of them, or more than half of the real estate agents, I'm just using them as an example, most of them shouldn't even be in real estate sales. Y'all want to talk about it? They met a great person who had a script, who recruited them to an organization so that they could pay the dues, so that those owners could have those properties and offices and stuff paid for, and the staff paid for on their dime. They were never great salespeople. They didn't have what it takes to be a great salesperson. They still don't have what it takes to be a great salesperson. But somebody told them to go to real estate school so those real estate schools could continue to make money. Somebody told them to get the CE so that could continue to make money. Then they go get MLS that forces them to pay for MLS that they're not even utilizing. But that keeps a whole bunch of people employed. But y'all don't want to talk about it? Because I'll tell y'all, that's what Auntie Said So is all about. We're going to talk about it while educating and getting people adjusted. Because when I said everybody's not supposed to be a real estate agent, somebody should have been thinking, well, then what should I be doing? And there lies the problem, because just like doctors, when they decide they're going to practice, they don't practice everything. You don't have a heart surgeon being also a great foot surgeon, okay? They have a niche. Most agents have not had a seat to sit down with anyone to say, where am I best suited for this business? Because the average agent closing 4 deals a year is ridiculous. How are you going to really command a career doing that? And nobody wants to talk about it. Business owners all across the board. There's all this money out here for you to get a property, for you to get training, all this stuff, government money, everything. And people are gatekeeping this information. They're not telling you where it is. So while these millionaires and billionaires continue to grow and these organizations continue to flourish, building channels, and I'll use those social media platforms to kind of let you guys know where and what I'm supporting. Nothing more, nothing less. Because I want to make sure my nieces and nephews have residual income, have monies, have resources for their children. Because some of them, and I'll tell you, some of y'all watching this, y'all been broke and poor for the last 30 years, and y'all not doing anything different. I don't really want to talk to y'all. I want to talk to the people who are looking at that and saying, we can't do this. I'm not interested in doing that. I need to do something different. Okay. So y'all lock me in, because what? Auntie said so. Have a good one.
This has been Auntie Said So, the podcast that's not really a podcast. So many of you, including me, the voice guy, need a kick in the pants sometimes. So whether it's business, real estate, or life advice, when Auntie speaks, we listen. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Facebook. Our business Facebook is The Tameka Bryant. Tameka's personal Facebook is Concrete Princess. And on Instagram at bizdoctor.auntie said so.
Keep leveling up, and we'll see you next time on Auntie Said So.